All right, let's go. Camden, will you please read the top statement here under new car? Camden, you underneath new car, read it, please. Depreciation. Okay, so as we go through this, I'm gonna kind of discuss with you what these terms mean. We're gonna start off by finding the base purchase price for a car. So I'm gonna actually give you guys the freedom to look up any car you want. And then the math is pretty challenging, so shh, be quiet. I'm going to show the math. If you're not able to do the math for your car, you'll just have to copy the math for the car that I choose. But right now, you guys can go ahead and Google and start looking up cars. Eventually, you're going to want to pick one car type and write it down. No. I'm doing an Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, like, I know it's fun to look up. Yes, be quiet. I know it's fun to look up like dream cars, but maybe you just want to look up like a regular car. You know, like a nice Kia. Maybe you just want to look at something basic, a Honda. You're gonna pick one car and write the price. Okay? Alright, here's some random brands. You can look at trucks or a sedan. Does anybody know what a sedan is? Yeah. It's like a regular four-door car. You can do an SUV. Oh yeah. Nice four-door. G-Wagon out there. She didn't know it was Mercedes. I'm gonna start looking up one for you. You have that Fortnite card right front. G-Wagon. Alright, for my example, I'm gonna look up a Jeep. No, I have a minivan. I love it. Alright. So when you look at your notice that there's options. For a Jeep Wrangler, I could get the Sport, I could get the Rubicon, I could get the Sahara. So look at some options there. So part of this activity is just giving you the chance to see, what it's like to go out and buy a car. Where would you start? What would you do? Start with the Google. Go to a dealership. Okay, this car starts at 50,000, and then I'm gonna go click build your Wrangler, and that's where you get to pick like different options of what you might want. Now, this is if someone's gonna go out and buy a brand new car. Personally, I've never bought a brand new car. I've always bought used cars, so I don't really go through this process. I go to the dealership, I look at the parking lot, and I pick something within my budget. But this is just an activity for brand new cars. Some people, I'm sure some of you guys will go out and buy a brand new car. Some of us just buy used cars, but this is the process. Yeah, 376. What kind of car is that? A Skyline. So you could buy a home for that. That's the same price for that car or a whole home for your family. For this. That's crazy, yeah. These are expensive. But you can get what's the difference between the 4XE and the regular? Is why is this one 20,000 more? I don't know. It looks exactly the same. No, it's not 20,000 for a color. No, that's not it. It's not the color. So what's the difference? I don't know. Let's look. One's named the engine. All right, we got two-door options, which I would never get a two-door. Oh, this one's two-door. What happened to the regular? The difference was two-door and four-door, in case you're wondering. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna start mine, and if you want to just do the assignment like me, you can. I'm gonna start with the Jeep. The starting cost is 50,695. If you have found a different vehicle, go ahead, go do your own. That's fine too. And you have a few more minutes. You can keep looking if you want. A Mustang, an old Mustang or something. Okay, we'll do Palmetto Red here. Okay, this says if I want stripe decals, it costs $245. So I'm gonna put stripes in my table and put 245, some kind of decal. That's what mine says, current options. So I'm reading the details of my website, and I'm going through adding different options to my Jeep, and I've decided I want stripes, and that's just gonna cost me like $200 more bucks. Okay. Looks pretty nice. Did you notice? It added all this black up here into the top. It actually looks quite a bit different. Here, I'll unclick it. Let's see if it shows it. Oh, it's just a black one. It's real little. Put your starting cost, and then if you can find anything that can be added, just add it, just for fun. This isn't necessarily like the car that you like really want to have, but oh, let's look at wheels. You can just do the price of the car. A hinge gate is gonna cost me $6.75. Black side steps. Anybody been shopping for a truck? Cause side steps is actually a thing. It's like, do you want that little step to step up on to get in? So like older people, yeah, it's a lot more. I'm gonna put a step on my Jeep, and I'm gonna put $4.95 more. And then I definitely want a hard top. I'm gonna do the Sky One power top. I'm gonna go big and do that for not 3,905. Okay, so I'm gonna add all this stuff up, and this is gonna be the first part of my car research. You guys feel free to research your own car if you want. I can wait a few more minutes. So I'm gonna do a red Jeep. It's $50. I'm gonna add stripes for $245. I want a step for $4.95, and I want the best stop I can get. Destination and handling. So, has anybody been to the dealership to buy a car with their parents? How long did it take? Yeah. Okay. So when you're there, if you really want to walk away with a car, it takes like 3 or 4 hours. And a lot of that is actually part of those salespeople's strategy. They could get you out more quickly, but the people get worn down. You get tired there, and right when you finished, you pick something, you've agreed on a price, they'll start adding fees, and then you get the taxes and the registration and destination and handling, and you're worn down. You're tired. You spent your whole time picking this car. You can't leave. So just know it at a dealership it takes a long time to buy a car, and it's part of their strategy to get you to spend more at the end. I'm gonna try to find destination and handling here. Anybody in here parents work at a car dealership? Okay. Okay. That's probably the same thing. You ever talk about how to sell a good boat? Wear people down? Make it take a long time? I bet it does. Like just like I'm doing with this G-Ball, there's probably so many options for this. Okay. I really don't want to put this in here. Let's see if I can get a quote. They won't give me a quote without giving my information. So I was just on the I was oh, I was just on the actual Jeep website. Now I'm on a dealership website, like a Bradenton dealership website. This is where I would really go. So I didn't want to just order one to have delivered to me. Yeah, this one's 65. That's crazy. I did not know a new Jeep would be that much. But you can get one for 37 two-door. I think almost twice as much for a four-door. Yeah, used, not brand new. No, there's definitely it's a great idea to buy a used car But as you get older, you kind of get better with your finances. You make more money. You get a car, and then you start to have a trade-in. So if you have a nice trade-in, your trade-in's in good shape. That reduces the amount you have to pay. So the older you get, generally you kind of upgrade your car if you're responsible, so that you take good care of your car and you trade it in, and then you can get a nicer car the next time. All right. I didn't find a destination and handling fee, but I did find a dealer fee of $9.87. So I'm just gonna use that on my handout. Yesterday I found a destination and handling fee, but having a hard time today. If you find any that say window sticker, that helps. Value your trade. No, they won't let me. Anyway, I'm gonna move on with the assignment now. I'm gonna put for destination and handling 987. It's typically more than that. But that's what I found for dealership fees. So I'm gonna grab my calculator and add all of this up. If you don't have a calculator, you can go to Google Calculator or Desmos Scientific Calculator. If you're doing a different car, if you're doing a different car and you don't have a calculator, go to Desmos Scientific Calculator. Okay. For destination fees, just do 987. Okay, so the total cost I'm gonna work with for my math is 56,197. So if you lived at home and you went to USF to get a 4-year bachelor's degree, it probably cost you like 30 grand. So this Jeep costs more than like a bachelor's degree here in Florida. So it's a big investment. Okay, now I'm going to figure out the cost with taxes. So our sales tax rate is 7%. So I'm gonna do 56197 times 1.07, and that's gonna give me the total cost I'm gonna use with taxes. So if you're doing a different vehicle, you may use a different number here. If you're not, just do exactly what I'm doing. It's your choice. Yes. Do you have to do the options? No. You can skip it. Even if we're doing a different car, we can still put the number. Yes, every car has the same sales tax. Every car gets charged 7% sales tax. So we just put 7% right there. Yep. So with taxes, my new cost is $60,130. That's a lot. That's too much for a car in my life, but some people can afford it, some people can't. Yep, multiply it. Okay, now this formula is it looks complicated, but this is gonna tell me what my monthly payment will be. Okay, and the handout that your book has challenged you to do says you're gonna borrow the money for the car. So you go to a dealership, and the dealership actually connects you with a bank, and the bank lends you the money to buy the car. The dealership gets the money that day from the bank, and the bank waits for you to pay back every month what you borrowed. So this is how much our monthly fee will be. Principal, the amount borrowed is the $60,130. That's the total cost. I use this number, though it's usually like 1,500, but you can use that number if you want. 987. Okay, we're gonna do this twice. We're gonna say I'm gonna try to be really responsible and pay off my car in 3 years, or I can't afford it, I'm gonna do it in 7 years. So first I'm gonna do, if I try to just pay for this car over the period of 3 years. Cam, know what you're doing on your phone. Put your phone down, put it away. Okay. I'm gonna do 3 years, and then wow, 2.5% or 8%. Which interest rate would we rather have? If it's something we're paying for, we want a low interest rate. Now, if we were earning interest, like in the bank, like when I put my $500 in for my nephew, I would want a high interest rate. But if I'm borrowing money and I have to pay the bank back, I want a low interest rate. So I'm going to start with this low interest rate of 0.025. Now, some people are going to walk into the bank and the bank's going to tell them you have to pay 8%, and other people only have to pay 2%. How does the bank decide how much they charge you for your money? Your credit score. Yes, your credit score. And so your credit score is. You got it right now. Yeah, once you're an adult, we all walk around with a grade called a credit score. And our credit score determines if a bank is going to give us a big loan. I can't just go right now and get $1 million loan and buy $1 million house. My credit score is not good enough. Okay, my income doesn't support it. So your credit score is based on if you pay your bills on time and how much you owe compared to the salary you have. Okay, so I try to pay my bills on time every month. I try not to borrow more than I can afford, and I get a high credit score. So if I have a high credit score, when I go to the bank to buy myself a new car, they give me the money for a low interest rate, so I don't have to pay back as much. But there's been times in my life where I had a low credit score and I had to buy a car. I've never bought a car for anything higher than like 6%, but people do. People come out of there with a pretty high interest rate, and so they have to pay back a lot more than other people. Okay? All about your credit score. You know what's crazy is they're trying to make it so that parents can pass their credit scores on to their kids. It's not fair. Not fair. Yeah, not fair. But they're trying to say, oh, you don't have to take your parents' credit score. If your parents have low credit scores, you don't have to take it. But if your parents have high credit scores, go ahead. You can borrow off of their credit scores. So that's just a huge advantage from day one. Just saying. That's happening right now. Like there's not enough advantages out there. That's happening. Okay. It doesn't really matter though, because if the parent has a good credit score and they make a ton of money, they can just buy it for you anyway. So. Okay, so let's do this equation. It's going to be pretty tricky. The number of years, 3, times the rate, 0.025, plus 1. So this multiplication has to happen first. And then you add 1. And then you multiply it to the principal, which for me is 60,000. There's 12 months a year. So we'll divide it by 36. That would be 36 years. See if we can get that math right with this calculator. Yeah, the 60,000, yeah. It's a good reason to work really hard so that you can pass down a good credit score to your kids. Don't fall behind on the assignment, okay? It's time to stop looking. Don't fall behind. Okay, so this is pretty good. With my low interest rate, what I'll end up paying after 3 years in total is $64,000. So that means it's costing me $4,000 to buy the money. The car is 60. My interest rate increases it up to 64. So if I sign the contract and the bank agrees to lend it to me, the car dealership gets $64,000 that day from the bank. They get the money on day one. The bank is the person you pay every month for 3 years. All right, divide that by 36. Here's a moment of truth. Holy cow. Because we're doing 3 years first, and there's 12 months a year. So that's 36 total payments, and the payment is way too high. It's first I did 3 times 0.025, and then I added 1. You can round, it's okay. Your cover should be maybe a quarter of that. Alright, so yeah, this payment is way too high. Most people would not do this. $1,795. If you could afford that much, then you would just put a big down payment on. You'd pay it ahead. So that's kind of unreasonable. You wouldn't want to get that car unless you had a good trade-in or a good down payment, or you just have that kind of money laying around, I guess. You really could. You'd be doing big things. But maybe it's for your kid. I don't know. Yep. So one thing that you could come out of this kind of car research is to go home and have a conversation with your parents. Hey, do we have a car loan? Is it 3 years? Is it 8 years? Is it 7 years? What's the payment? Like, how much do we pay every month for this car? What interest rate did you get? So maybe some of you already know. I know my parents, they always pay cash for cars. And how many of you know your parents like to pay cash so they don't have monthly fees? That's good. That prevents this $4,000 of borrowing money. So I mean, paying cash is ideal. Okay, we're gonna do all of that again, but we're gonna see what if we actually take the loan out for 7 years. Now, a brand new Jeep should last 7 years. So let's see if we get a longer loan. This time, because we're borrowing the money for 7 years instead of 3 years, the amount we pay for our car goes up to $70,000 because we paid interest for 7 full years instead of just paying 60. After all that interest paid, it's actually 70. Okay, now I'll divide by 84, and that'll give me my monthly payment. Okay, 841. Still significantly higher than anything I've ever paid, but for the car. So if you only took the loan for 3 years, your monthly payment was $1,700. Spread over 8 years, it's only $800. So it's quite a bit less. But you end up paying more. The best thing is to pay more on day one and owe less. Okay, any questions? Did anybody do a cheaper car and get a lower monthly payment? How much did you get? How much was your car? That's great. I love that. Good job. Yes, I do want to say this is for a brand new car. This is not like I mean most I don't know. I've never gone out. I've never paid that much for a car. How much? Yeah, man, why are you so worried about Brooklyn? Yes. Jeez Louise. Alright. Number 4. Let's flip to the back and get this done. We got like 15 minutes to finish this up. Okay, the numerator is the estimate. All right, guys, let's go with our 7-year data. So I'm going to go with 70,652 for number 4. So this is the top of your equation. If you did your own math, take the answer to the top of your equation. Okay, so now I have a new word for you, depreciation. Who knows what depreciation means? Yeah, like the opposite of appreciate. Depreciate means to lose value. So every year your car is worth less as it gets older and you use it. So we're gonna see how much will that car be worth in 5 years? We paid 70,000 for it. If we borrowed money for 7 years, that's gonna cost us 70,652. After 6 months, it's worth 90% of that amount. So I'm gonna do 70652 times 0.9, and that'll tell me what it's worth after I've had it. So now if I want to trade it in, this could be what the car dealership will give me for it. They'll be like, okay, we'll take it back and get a new car. We'll give you 63 for it. After 1 year, let's see what it's worth. It's down to 57,000 now. To 2 years. 46. Gosh, it's so really expensive. It's like that's what I think a truck really costs right now. I guess we just look this up. Yep. You multiply by 0.6561. You're moving the decimal 2 places.
That can't be right.
Oh. Did you move the decimal first? It should be like some cents at the end. Like I could be writing 35 cents at the end. After 5 years, my car went from 70 to 24,000 because of depreciation. It's multiplied by the decimal. So that would be maybe the trading value or what I could sell it for. I multiplied it by 0.6561. Is it wrong? Yeah. 0.6561. Okay. The last word we're gonna go through is this word inflation. What do you guys understand inflation to mean? Prices go up. Okay. Um, this says the average annual rate of inflation is about 3%. If you wait and buy your car 5 years later, how much would it go up if the prices increase 3% every year? That's inflation. Now, the thing about the economy that's important is that as prices go up, then our paycheck also goes up. So we get a raise every year. We get a little bit more money if you stay committed to a company. If you don't own your own business, that is. So as people get raises, it should at least match inflation. So if inflation that year was 3%, but my raise was only 1%. That's when I get really unhappy with the government. I say something's not right. I can't afford the same things. Okay. If groceries go up by a lot, like 5%, and my income only goes up 2%, when I go to Winn-Dixie to buy things, I can't afford the same amount of things because those prices went up. Then I get mad about the economy and I start complaining. So it's okay if prices go up, but salaries have to go up with it. People are supposed to give business owners try to give their employees raises to account for the prices that go up. If they choose not to give those raises, the employees get mad, they leave the job. Okay, so going back to my 70,000. No, I'm not going to use 70,000. I'm going to go back to this number from number 2, which is just my cost with the tax. 60,130 times 1.03 to the 5th power, and this is how much I think time value of money. This is how much I think this car will cost in 5 years if prices increase 3% every year, which I think is a lot. But if you go into school and if you study finance in college, and then you study economics, you become an expert on things like inflation, and you understand how much prices are going up, and you start to figure out why, and you study our incomes going up as well. So if you're interested in that, that's a business degree. Okay, so my car, if it was 60,000 today, I would think in 5 years it's going to be up to 69,000 if inflation goes at a steady rate. Okay, the last thing you have to do on this handout, I mean, we're going to do page 2 tomorrow. The last thing you have to do on page 1 is just write a few sentences about what you think is important to know when you're purchasing a car. Interest rates are important. How long your loan is going to take to pay off is important. The cost is important, things like that. How much money you have to pay, the monthly payment is important. So just answer in a few sentences.